The Fletcher Munson curve is better known today as the equal loudness curve. This was originated from Bell Labs. Bell Labs is the telephone invention. Now, Bell, Alexander Graham Bell. Is it Graham Bell? Yeah, y'all know Alexander Bell, basically. That's where the decibels, that's where that come from. Bell, Graham Bell, Bell Labs, decibels, bells, decibels. Anyway, they did some research to find out what was the most cost efficient, the most effective way to transfer audio through phone lines. And what they had to do was they had to find out what was our sweet spot and how could they transfer audio through this little electricity and they don't have to use so much energy, right? Now, ironically, when you look at this this equal loudness contour graph, what they discovered is that our sweetest spot, the loudest that we hear, is going to use the least amount of energy. So the deeper the dip, basically, the least amount of energy, but the better that we hear. So they discovered that they can cut off all these frequencies up here. They can cut off all these frequencies and just stick to this one frequency. Now that's me that's the reason why I sound like a phone. Hello? Hey, what's up, man? What you doing? That's because I cut off, I just kind of narrowed it down. Anyway, I had my hand over my mouth. But anyway, what they did was they cut off the high frequencies, they cut off the low frequencies. And now they're able to use just this frequency through the little electric lines. And then you can hear the telephone very, very clear. And they didn't have to use a whole lot of energy, which saves a whole lot of money. Because again, going back to this, imagine if they were trying to get all this and they're trying to get what you hear, imagine them trying to get audio to come from phone to phone as if you using a preamp in a $1,000 microphone. Imagine how expensive that would have been. You see where I'm coming from, fam? You see where I'm getting at? Imagine how expensive it would have been for them to try to put together a phone that can mimic my voice, make me sound like I'm right there. Like how I sound like I'm in your living room or bedroom or basement right now because I'm talking through the mic through the speakers using a preamp and a fairly decent microphone. Imagine the technology and the money that they would have had to invest in phones to give you that sound. It would have been a waste of time. So what they did instead, they invested in scientists and they found out about how our ear works and how we hear frequencies. And they discovered this. They discovered that we had at lower volumes, lower energy, lower dynamic energy, we're able to hear. Hello? Let me speak to Andre. Hello? Let me speak to T. Hey, what's up, T? What you doing? Hey, man, why you got a new tutorial up? So this was a better route, and this helps us to understand how we hear. Okay, so we got that down packed. Now there's something else now. There's another twist to this. As you turn up the volume to compensate for the sweet frequency, as we turn up the volume, as we turn up the overall volume, not just the volume of the bass, because let me try to give you examples. Let's say we got a 20 hertz sound, we got a 50 hertz sound, we got a 100 hertz sound, and then we got all these. We know that when we're mixing, we need to, this is kind of like the graph of a decent level, right? So if we listening to the mixing at low volumes, because we got these decibels low, we're going to turn up the bass, but we're not going to turn up the vocals because the vocals is the frequency resonates in our ear much, much better than the lower frequencies or the extremely high frequencies. So we're not going to turn the vocals up. But if you turn the overall volume up, not just the bass, because you may lead, because if you listen in low, okay, if we listen to at a low threshold or we listen at a low decibel, we're going to turn up the bass to, 70, 80, 90. We're going to turn that up. And we don't really have to turn these, we turn these up accordingly, because, you turn up the volume to match it. And then we might have something in the high, like the 10K might be the hi-hats or whatever. So we're going to turn that up, right? Now that's individually. But what happens when you turn up the entire volume? The louder we turn up the overall volume, fam, now this curve is not going to be so steep. As we turn up the volume, the entire volume of the entire mix, for lack of better words. So we listening at the volume at 100 decibels, we'll notice that the sweet spot is kind of starting to flatten out a little. So as we turn the volume up higher and higher and higher, all of the frequencies kind of start flattening out. Now, you might not understand what I'm talking about, so I'm going to try my best to help you to comprehend it. If you already do, good. You're going to comprehend it even more. But if you don't, maybe we'll get a little understanding. Okay. Let's say an explosion. We know that an explosion is not going to be in the 10 or 20 decibel threshold, right? Logically, we know that an explosion is going to be very loud. So we know it's going to kind of surpass the 120 decibel range, right? We know we're going to be up in the 130s and higher, right? An explosion have a frequency range from 10 hertz, maybe up to, 50K, far beyond this. And I say that because the loudness of everything, glass breaking, pressure, you're going to hear sub, you're going to hear high piercing peaks. You understand what I'm saying? You're going to hear glass shattering. So you hear all these different frequencies. You hear them all. And you don't just hear them all. You hear them all loud. You hear them all loud. So you hear 20 hertz, which is a low sub, but you hear that sucker like boom. You hear it over 130 decibels. So not only do you hear it, but you feel it in your chest because the pressure is so hard. And then you get all these other frequencies in between because the loudness, everything, every frequency in a bomb explosion is at its loudest. Right? Could blow your eardrums out, right? So, to help you understand here, this frequency, that loud frequency, is almost on the even scale with the low frequency. You see how the 20 hertz, let's say we at right here. Let's just say we here, 128, right? Let's say we at 128 decibels. This is how we're hearing an explosion. Boom. You understand where I'm coming from? Now, let's use the same example. Let's record that explosion and put it on TV and turn the volume down real low. So that same loud, dynamic, real-life explosion, real-time explosion, is now on TV. And you turn the TV down. Again, we're going to be hearing it. We're going to hear the sweet spot, sweet part of the explosion real low. We turn it down real low. You will still hear, but it can sound like a whisper. So the best frequencies that we're going to hear at a lower decibel is going to be in this area here. So those super high frequencies and those super sub low frequencies, we won't be able to hear if it's playing on TV and we got the TV down low. Or if we so many miles away from that explosion. We so many miles away from the explosion. So the particles in the air dissipate by the time it gets to our ear. So we'll just be like, hey, did you hear that? Oh, it sounded like a little gunshot or whatever. You'll notice that the lower impact, the lower frequencies would be gone, and those extremely high frequencies would be gone. And what we would hear in this area is the crack. Like, did y'all hear that? Or that simply the that is these frequencies right here. So I said that because I hope that you can understand how this curve works and how we perceive sound. And again, we perceive the louder, this frequency here is louder to us than these frequencies. We have to turn these up, but when we do turn these up, it starts to flatten out for us. It gets the curve or the dip is not so dramatic. Okay, the dip is not so dramatic. Now you can go back and we can listen to this audio thing that I had pulled up. Maybe I'll either give you the link. I'll try to give you the link. Oh, here it is. Admin of this site. Admin of this site. Oh, okay. Anyway, I think this is what it's called, 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz human audio spectrum. And you can kind of just play it back and just listen, and you can listen to this and watch the curve as well. And you will be able to notice the dips, and you know by watching this, you know that you can look at this chart and say, okay, we're at 18. We know it's about to get loud. So the more it dips here, the louder it's going to be in your ears. And then as it goes up, it's going to get a little low. Then it's going to make another dip here, somewhere between 10 and 20K, and it's going to get loud, a little loud, not as loud as this, but it's going to get a little loud. Then it's going to dissipate again, it's going to vanish. So anyway, fam, that's the Fletcher Munson curve. That's the equal loudness contour. Now, why is this important to understand? Why was this important to learn? Well, because when we understand how our ears work, when we understand how our ears picks up frequencies, we can better understand how we should mix a song. We can understand that. Now, let's see here. Give me 1 second. All right, here's a frequency map. And this frequency map, and it's just a very small map, just kind of giving you a general idea of where each instrument lies within the frequency range. And now by understanding the loudness contour, or the Fletcher Munson curve, Fletcher Munson curve, it can help you to be able to place these things better now. And, just from the conversation over and over again, we know that this is the sweet spot for vocals, right? Even down here, you can see the meaning. Like, for example, in the 20 hertz range, it talks about weight. In the 200 to 400 range, it talks about warmth. In the 600 to 2K range, it talks about knock and definition and bite. So So, and then here in this range here, we know that the 4 and 6 is clarity. Why? Because this is our sweet resonance spot in our ear. And I'm going to pull that image back up in a second. And then we know that 10 and 16, this adds air and sparkle. And we listen to it when we listen to this frequency signal range here. You can hear all, all of those different frequencies. So to understand that, now we'll know, for example, if you got a song and you mixing it, we know that sub belongs in the sub area. Sub automatically have these low frequencies of 20 hertz, 40 hertz, 60. So we know you don't really have to add a lot to that because it's already there. If anything, you may want to cut frequencies below the hearing threshold, because it's just going to be perceived as mud, or vibration. It's going to be dirty vibrations in your mix, because those frequencies 1 and 2K is so low, it's not going to come off as sound. It's going to come off as noise and mud. See, and that's the reason why they cut those frequencies, because we can't even hear them. So they just cut them. But the good thing is that if your vocals is way over here, this is our sweet vocal range. Why would you leave a lot of warmth and bass in your vocals when audibly in real life we don't really hear like that? You see? So you will roll off those 20s and 40s and 60s. You'll roll that off the vocals, right? You'll roll it off, right? We don't need it. And our vocals, our hearing is so sweet in this area. If you got a good mic and you got a good preamp, this is where preamps and mics and all this stuff come in. And if you got a flat frequency recorder, that means it's capturing as much as possibly can of what you're putting into it. You don't have to do a whole lot. It is loud enough. If anything, you might want to pull it back if the mic is too beautiful. Or you might want to adjust all these other frequencies around it to make it stick out. But the goal, fam, the idea, sorry about that, man, what you doing, T? The idea here is to understand, now that we understand how frequencies work, we understand how ear work, we understand how modulation work. Now we can take a look at these, and okay, so now I understand I can place my horns here, and the frequency range I need to concentrate on it is over here, and the sub is over here. But the idea, fam, is that everything that we use have its own frequency range. Baby's Crying have his own frequency range. The car horn blowing have his own frequency range. The kick drum, it have its own frequency range. The bass have its own frequency range. And the idea is to separate all those frequency ranges. That's what the idea is. So when you look at this chart, it gives you an example. Let's start off with the sub. You got the sub. Look what space it takes up. Is there any other frequency arm wrestling with this sub frequency? No, it's not. So you can put the sub there. Now we have this 808 kick. Now this 808 kick don't have the sub. The sub is here. So all we concentrating on is the knock. So right here, this knock or kick foot will occupy this frequency. That's pleasing to the ear. Then we have some other analog kicks. Whatever reason that's there for. Where are the snares? Alright. Well, anyway, that's there. Then we have a drum and bass kick, another kick. You notice how they're occupying their own frequency space. We got electrical bass right here. It's occupying its own frequency space. Congo's occupying its frequency space. The snare, the 1K up there, we hear that like. Some of this stuff we turn down because we just hear too good. Pads, here's its own frequency space. But nothing is overriding each other except the clap. These almost got identical frequency ranges here. Clap, clap. And sometime, if you really want it really nice and clean, you will adjust the frequency range of that particular clap. You ain't move it to the left, or you'll pronounce it more to the, instead of the 2 kilohertz, you know, probably the 2.5 kilohertz, so that this can have its own frequency space. And the whole thing, fam, is to not muddy it up. Now, you can break the rules, of course. You know, you can, but as long as you understand how things are supposed to go in the beginning, and how our ears work, and how things, how the system, how the science of it works, that helps us have a more understanding, and it gives us a little bit of better idea on how to mix. All right. So now that we understand how this works, now let's go get the tools to address or adjust the frequencies. Now, let me show you something real quick. Give me a sec. Okay, I brought this up because now you'll be able to understand this a lot more better. Now it's not intimidating. We'll talk to you about. Actually, we're going to move on to the next chapter, and that's going to be a whole totally different tutorial for you. But I wanted to first express the understanding of sound. Now what we're going to do, we're going to move on later and discuss the tools used to manipulate these sounds. Now, let me show you something real quick. Now that you understand how sound works, frequency, amplitude, this, that, and the other, we have here a graphic EQ. And a graphic EQ is a perfect way to really help you understand what we as engineers is doing to sound. Now, what this is, and they're pretty much both the same, but there's a slight difference in this, and we'll talk about this later. But what we're basically doing here is, you see the frequency range of our hearing is from 20 to 20K. And what these knobs are is basically amplitude control. Amplitude control. So for example, we got a sound at 20 hertz, which would be sub. This is the amplitude volume. We can control that particular frequency, not the whole sound, but that frequency of that particular instrument. So say for example, if it's the sub, we wouldn't necessarily have to mess with these frequencies down here, because the sub don't even produce these frequencies. It's only going to be producing 20 to 32 perhaps. It's going to be producing in this area. So we want to control the volume or the amplitude of that particular frequency. There you have it. There you have it. Now, say for example, if you had a snare and you love the way the snare sound, but it just don't jump out you, just don't jump out at you, just don't bite, just don't spark. Well, the goal, especially now that we understand that each instrument have a pitch and a frequency, there is going to be a sweet spot, so to speak, a sweet frequency, so to speak. The attack resonance of that particular snare. So if you wanted to adjust the attack resonance, if it's hitting too hard, you find that particular frequency and you pull her down. If it's not hitting hard enough, you find that frequency and you boost it up. And that's the idea, fam. Now, for example, we have all different vocal settings. They're hot in the house tonight, stand up. I got that little horsey raspiness, right? But the idea is for me to mix it not in a way that's going to irritate you. I just have a different sound. I got a voice like a horn. There's different resonances and different pitches and frequencies that make up my voice. So the idea for those who like to listen is to make the listening pleasurable or peaceful. Now, on the outside, we kind of got, we have automatic compressors that compresses those annoying frequencies. Unless she just talk like that all the time. If she talk like that all the time, I ain't finna have no conversation with you because your frequencies is irritating the heck out of me. Unless I just put on some earmuffs and listen to you. You know what I'm saying? So I can duck out them annoying frequencies. But the goal is to pull down some of those annoying frequencies in my voice. So I know that the vocal range is around here. Now, a lot of times with the strings and the guitar and, you know, all of these different things, sometimes all these other different frequencies can kind of drown out my vocal frequency. So the idea is to go in here, hone in, and find that particular frequency and perhaps boost it. Just that frequency. Don't turn up the volume. Because if you turn up the volume, remember what happened with the Fletcher Munson curve? You turn up the volume. Now you got to go in there and no, not that. Sorry. You got to go in there and turn up all them other volumes. You see what I'm saying? So don't necessarily turn up the volume. Turn up the frequency. Turn that frequency up or turn that frequency down. And then if there is an offending frequency, like, oh man, I love that guitar, but when I say that and that guitar play at the same time, I can't hear what I'm saying. What's most important? What you're saying. So go and find a frequency that's clashing with your vocal frequency and either move it to the left, move it to the right, or just find it and just turn it down. Just turn down that particular frequency. You might got to dip it under. And that's how it works, fam. And that's what we use these for. These is the tools that we use. And we're going to get into detail about each and every last one of these. But just for short, just to get you started, these are the tools that we use to tweak and manipulate amplitude, frequency, sound, and dynamics. This is what we use. Now later we're going to come and we're going to get into detail about the EQ. We're going to get into detail about limiter, compression, reverb, delay, all the different things that the 4 tools that we can use to manipulate the sound. But before we can manipulate the sound, we got to understand what the heck we're trying to manipulate to begin with. Now we know we're manipulating frequency, and amplitude. The answer session for the day, fam. Now, what I want you to do, get you a song, or go back to one of your songs that you already produced, you already mixed. And now, with the new understanding, just approach it. You still don't know the exact details about EQ and things like that, but you got a general understanding. You got a general understanding what they're there for. Now go back and now mix some things like that. Now, of course, there's some other things, but I want to make sure that you get it and grasp it before I just kind of shove all this stuff in your mouth. Huh? That did not sound right. Before I shove all this information into your brain. All right? But it's very, very important. Okay, so we're going to end this session, and I'm going to, right now, fam, I'm doing a little bit of work in the forums. I forgot how vicious the spamming can be in the forums, so I definitely deeply apologize for the spam that then popped up in the forums. I hope that didn't discourage you guys from hanging out at the forums and collaborating and things like that. But right now I'm doing the repairs for it. I'm also looking for moderators and administrators to run it for me, and somebody with some experience, and you gotta have a little bit of extra time. I'm very tied up doing these sessions for you guys. I'm very tied up checking homework assignments and things like that, so it would be overkill if I tried to run the forums at the same time. That's why I said the students will be running the forums. So why don't a few of you email me, let me know, AT, I can do this, I can do that. I need a head administrator, and this head administrator can assign other assignments to other moderators and things like that. All right. I want my forum room up and running, full blast, full throttle, but I need moderators. I need people to run it, because I don't have the time to dedicate it and run it as efficient as it should be running because of these sessions that I'm putting together for you guys. I got so many sessions that that I'm putting together. It's just it's crazy. But what we're gonna do, fam. So anyway, email me. Let me know. Tag it. Moderators requests. Just put the title moderators requests, and I'll filter all those emails, and I'll put it in in its own filter, separate it so that I can just get straight to the people that's interested in running the forums and things like that. Anyway, that's that. I will be back sooner than later, and it just took a little time because I wanted to do some research to help you. Well, should I say it took a little time for this tutorial, fam, because I wanted to do some research, some further research, so that I can help you grasp it. I didn't want to use large, gigantic scientific words that would waste your time. I didn't want to waste your time. If you're going to sit for an hour or so and watch a training video, I want you, when you walk away in that hour, that's all to it. So sometime it may take a little longer so I can come up with creative ways to help you grasp it. Because sitting there just listening to somebody say Fletcher Munson curve ain't gonna get it. SPL, and it's just boring, and it's like rocket science. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to come up with ways that's gonna help you to perceive it and to grasp it, just like the beats. The same way about the beats, I want you to learn in a way that you fully get it, fully understand, fully grasp it, because I want you to be great overnight. You know what I'm saying? Great overnight. Of course, you got to spend time and practice, but you'll get it, and you'll get it much more sooner than trying to figure it out. It'll take you months, or if not years. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we will be back to do some more. I got about 4 new production tracks that I put together, and the good thing about this is that because you'll understand more about EQing and frequencies and things like that, the tracks that's been put together are going to have a deeper and richer impact because of the sound quality of it. And by understanding these different things, and I got to give credit to my engineers over at United Sound, because they just opened my eyes to a world of madness, and I'm sharing it with you guys, and we got so much more to learn, but I'm getting you up and running very, very quickly. All right, so I'm not going to waste no more of your time. Just stay tuned. In a day or so, I'll be uploading the rhythm production track that I just put together. And we'll sit down and we'll discuss that, how it was put together and how it was mixed. It's your homie Grand Tizzle. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in a minute. See you. Wait, before I say see you when I spin it, please go do a mix on one of your tracks. Send me, if you can. I know everybody busy, but if you can, send me a before and then an after of the new mix version of something that you produced. Homie, oh, and I have not forgot, please, I have not forgot about your YouTube channels. This is very, very important to me. So don't think that I had you put that together and then I'm just going to walk away from it. I have a few ideas what I wanted to do, and one of the primary things is for my paid members, I want to develop the graphics for you. And it may be a little time consuming unless I use a template that you agree on. If I can use a template and just swap out the names and swap out the background, whatever the case may be, then I can get more done. But anyway, let me know. I'll let you know when that's going to be up and running, when I'm ready to do that. So just hold on to your horses. If you can, just start uploading some tracks right now, just to kind of just get some revenue going. I'm going to sit and explain to you keywords, specific keywords to use, so that you can get your viewership up, and the other community practices that you want to use to be able to get your views up. It's your homie Grand Tizzle. I'll see y'all in a minute. I love y'all. I'll see you when I spin it.